Okay, today we move on to chapter 4, and in chapter 4 we're dealing with algebraic functions. The first one that we start with is a linear function. The linear function. Okay, and these, when you talk about linear functions or linear equations, these have a single variable. It's terrible. You have a single variable. That means there's only one variable that you will have to solve for, and also that the highest exponent is 1. So these are the two key features of a linear equation or a function. So we can look at examples, which I'm sure you're already familiar with solving. And that looks like this. We have 6 plus 3x is equal to 36. So you'll see that the techniques that we learned in changing the subject of the formula will come in handy over here, because we will have to sometimes, in fact we will always have to make x the subject of the formula in order to solve the equation. So let's look at examples. We have 24, so this is 1, 24x plus 4, and this is equal to 8x minus 12. So here we are asked to solve this. We have to find out what the value of x is. So as always, everything with x on one side, everything without x on the other side. So you'll have 24 x minus 8x, and this is equal to minus 4 minus 12. Okay, so that's what you have. And then what you do is you combine your like terms. You have 24 minus 8x, so that is 16x. And then on the right hand side I have negative 16, which is this, the negative 4 and the negative 12. And then to make x the subject of the formula, I will divide by 16. The reason I'm dividing is because the 16 is multiplying. So to get rid of the effect of the 16, if you will, what I do is I divide by it. I'll be left with x is equal to negative 1, and then that is my answer. So remember, with these you're only done when you can tell me x is equal to something. So do not stop here. For example, here, okay, we have 16x is equal to minus 16. You're only done when you can say the final answer is x is equal to something. Okay, number 2, we have 2y minus 3. This is equal to 10 plus y. So the goal is always isolate the variable, make it the subject of the formula, and then tell me what the variable is equal to. So you'll collect all your terms with y on one side. Sorry, this is over 10. You collect all your terms with y on one side, everything else on the other side. Now before we do that, you can see that this 2y over 10, you can simplify it. So 2 will go there once, and then it goes there 5 times. So this equation is actually just y over 5 minus 3. This is equal to 10 plus y. So whenever you have an opportunity to simplify, always go ahead and do it. Then the same thing, everything with y on one side, everything without on the other side. So I will have y over 5 minus y. This is equal to 13. So I get 13 by adding 3 on both sides. There's already a 10 on this side. So when I add 3, I end up with 13. Okay, so here what you can do is you can multiply the denominators out. Usually that's what we like to do. We don't like to work with fractions. So if you can get rid of the denominator, go ahead and do that. And the way to do it is by multiplying with the denominator throughout. So every single term will get multiplied by the denominator. So times 5, and then times 5, like that. Okay, so here these two will cancel because you're multiplying numerator and denominator, which are the same. So remember what we did last week when we're canceling denominators and numerators. So those two will cancel, and I'll be left with y minus 5y, and this is 13 times 5. This is just 65. Okay, then on the left hand side you can combine your y's. Say how many y's do I have altogether. If I have 1 and then I subtract 5, that is negative 4. That's negative 4 y's. And then on the right hand side, this is just 65. And then you want to make y the subject of the formula, so you divide by negative 4 on both sides. So you have y is equal to negative 65 over 4. Then you can lead this to 3 decimal places, depending on what the question says. So to 3 decimal places, I would have a 16.250. Okay, this is a point. So this is to 3 decimal places, if that is what the question says. Mm-hmm. 3.
Miss,
Yes.
hello.
Hello.
Are we leaving that negative?
The negative should be there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. This is 4 minus theta over 2, and this is equal to 7 theta over 6. So here our variable is theta. I think we have worked with theta before. Theta is a Greek letter. Um, so usually we use it to represent angles. Okay, so you may remember it. So we do the same thing here. We don't want to work with fractions, so we get rid of the denominator. So we multiply by the lowest common multiple of the two of them. Remember I said it doesn't have to be multiplying by the product of the two. You just need to multiply by the lowest common multiple. So when I look at my denominators here, I have 2 and I have 6. The lowest common multiple is 6. So I'll multiply this by 6 and I'll multiply this side by 6. When I cancel, we say 2 goes there once, and then there's a 3 left. 6 goes there once, once over there. Okay, now this 3 that is left here is going to multiply the 4 as well as the theta. So it's not just going to multiply the 4 alone. Okay, it was left from cancelling with the denominator, so it must multiply the entire numerator. So when we multiply that out, we have 3 times 4, which is 12. And then 3 times minus theta, this is minus 3 theta. And then on the right hand side, I just have 7 theta. Okay, then again, collect all your terms with theta on one side and everything without theta on the other side. So what I will have is this 10 theta is equal to 12. Okay, then we'll divide by 10 on both sides. Divide by 10, divide by 10. Those two cancel. I have theta is equal to 6 over 5, or it's 1.2. So depending on how the question says, you must leave your answer. That is what I have.
Miss,
Yes.
we cannot solve the equation at number 3 by first cross multiplying.
Yes. That means you're multiplying it by 12 on both sides.
Okay.
Yeah. So that will also work. You can multiply both sides by 72. That will also work. Okay, but always try and avoid, try and multiply by the lowest common multiple as much as possible. Okay, so this one here, I have 3x plus 2 over 4 minus 9x over 2. This is equal to 22. Again, we want to get rid of the denominator, so what I'm going to do is multiply by the lowest common multiple, and the lowest common multiple of the denominators over here is 4. So I will multiply this by 4, multiply this by 4, and then the 22 must also be multiplied by 4. So it is all the terms, not just the ones that have a denominator. Every single term must be multiplied by 4. You can see over here, this goes there once, this goes there once, and this goes there once. Over here I'll be left with a 2, and then the 4 on the right hand side has nothing to cancel with, so we write it as it is. Then what you do is you multiply whatever is left over here. So it's only 1 is left, so I have 3x plus 2, and then here I have the 2 that I multiply with the 9x, so this is minus 18x, and then on the right hand side I have 22 times 4, this is equal to 88, right? Then again, all the terms with x on one side, everything without x on the other side. So this 3x and this minus 18x, I can combine them already. That is minus 15x. And then I subtract 2 on both sides. I get 86. And then, as usual, I divide by the coefficient of x on both sides. Hold on, somebody wants to join. get in now, right? Then I said I'm going to divide by minus 15 on both sides. Okay, so I get x is equal to minus 86 over 15. Okay, so that is my answer. Number 5, we have 3x plus 2 over 4. Right. It's 7a minus 3a plus 2 over 2, and this is equal to 4 plus 3a. Okay, so that is what we have. We have also have to solve for a. Again, we have a fraction, so the first thing we need to do is multiply by the denominator. So I'll multiply by a there. Sorry, not a, by 2. That is the denominator, multiply by 2. And then on the right-hand side, the entire right-hand side will also be multiplied by 2. So I could say the 4 times 2, excuse me, the 3a times 2, just like that. Or I put it in brackets to show that it is multiplying by 2. And then I work it out. I say 7a times 2, this is 14a. And then those 2 will obviously cancel. Then I'm left with negative, and then I must put it in brackets. Okay, because this negative over here, sorry, that looks like an equal sign. Okay, this negative over here belonged to the entire fraction, like that. Okay, so when you get rid of the denominator, the negative is like a negative 1 that must multiply the numerator. Okay, and then this is equal to the 2 will multiply the 4, you get 8. And then the 2 will also multiply the 3a, you get 6a. Okay, so again, this negative will multiply in there, just the way we normally do with multiplying our brackets. And I have 14a minus 3a okay, then we have minus 2, and this is equal to 8 plus 6a. Okay, now if you can see my 6. All right, then from here, again, as usual, everything with a on one side, everything without a on the other side. So I have 14a minus 3a. I can already combine those two together before I move other terms to the other side. So 14 minus 3, this gives me 11a. And then I will subtract the 6a. And then I will have 8 and then add 2 on both sides. This is equal to 10. Right, 11a minus 6a, this is just 5a. And then I divide by 5 on both sides. Then I have a is equal to 2. So that is my solution. Then now we start with exercise 4.1.1. This is exercise 4.1.1. I don't want to do all the questions because you need to practice them, but we will have to go a bit faster through the topics just so we can finish before the end of the semester. So let's see, we'll do the odd numbered questions. So the first one, just see. In the first one, we have x over 3 plus x over 2, and this is equal to 4 minus x over 2. Okay, so here again, what we need to do is multiply by the denominator. We need to multiply the denominators out because we don't want to work with fractions. So you need to find the lowest common multiple of your denominator. So here I have 3, and there I have 2. The lowest common multiple is 6. So I'll multiply by 6, multiply by 6, multiply that by 6, multiply that by 6. Every single term must be multiplied by 6. And remember what makes a term, or what distinguishes two terms, that terms are separated by a plus or a minus. So if I have something like 9x, 9x is a single term. So I'm not going to say the 9 times the 6 and then the x times the 6. 9x is a single term. Okay, then I cancel wherever I can. There it goes once, over there goes twice, where there goes once, there it goes 3 times, there nothing cancels, then here I have 1 and then 3. Then I write down what is left. So I will have 2x plus 3x. This is equal to 24 minus 3x. Okay, so that is what I have. Then again, everything with x on one side, everything without x on the other side, and then you combine. So I have 2x plus 3x, and then I will add 3x on both sides. So what I should have is 8x. Then 24 is the only constant term without a variable. So this is equal to 24. Then I divide by 8 on both sides. You get x is equal to 3. And number 3, this is 2.4 x minus 3 over 5. This is equal to 0.6 x minus 1.6. That does not look good at all. Let's just write it here. So this is equal to 0.6 x minus 1.6 over 2. Okay, so same thing over here. I will have to multiply the denominators away. So I pick the lowest common multiple of 5 and 2, which is 10. So multiply by 10, and that one I will multiply by 10. Then we see what can cancel. The 5 goes there once, over there it goes 2, and then remember the 2 will multiply each and every single term that you have there. And then same thing over here. Then the 5 must multiply with whatever is left in the numerator. And then when we do that, I will have 2 times 2.4x. This is just 4.8x. And then the 2 times minus 3. This is minus 6. And then on the right hand side, we have 5 times 0.6. This is 3x. And then 5 times 1.6. This is minus 8. Then again, combine all your terms with x on one side, everything without x on the other side. So you'll subtract 3x on both sides. So here I will have 4.8x minus 3. This gives me 1.8x. And then on the other side, I will add 6 there. So I will have negative 8 plus 6, which is negative 2. And then I divide by 1.8 on both sides. So this is 1.8. Then I have x is equal to negative 10 over 9. Number 5. We have 2b minus 1 over 3 minus b plus 5 over 4. This is equal to a half. Okay, so with this one here, again, the lowest common multiple of 3, 4, and 2 is 12. So I'm going to multiply throughout by 12. So the first one times 12, second one times 12, and the last one times 12. 3 there once, over there, it goes 4 times, 4 there once, and then over there goes 3 times, this once, and over there it goes 6 times. And then multiply the numerators with whatever is left. So the 4 again will multiply the 2b, as well as the negative 1. So I have 4 times 2b, this is 8b, and then 4 times minus 1, this is minus 4, and then here I have 3, so it'll be negative, this negative over here. Then I have 3b plus 15, and this is equal to 6. Then this is just 8b minus 4 minus 3b minus 15, and this is equal to 6. Okay, so the minus outside the bracket is a minus 1, then the minus 1 multiplies everything inside the bracket. Okay, so 8b minus 3b, this is 5b, and then minus 4 minus 15, this is minus 19. So I'm combining them before I take them to the other side. You can take each of them to the other side and then combine everything on the right hand side. That is fine. So here I have 5b is equal to 25. Okay, so I add 19 on both sides. Then I divide by 5, divide by 5. This means that b is equal to 5. minus 7. We have y plus 1, y plus 2, and this is equal to y plus 7 minus 6. So this doesn't look like a linear equation right away, but it actually is. So what we need to do is we need to multiply out the brackets. Remember how we do it: the y with the y, y with the 2, 1 with the y, and then 1 with the 2, and then the same thing on the other side of the equation. So to do this, I will have y squared plus 2y plus y plus 2, and this is equal to y squared plus 7y minus 6. Okay, then collect all the terms with y on one side, everything else without y on the other side. So I will have y squared minus y squared over here. So when I subtract y squared on both sides, the y squareds will cancel. Then here I have 3y. Okay, that's from combining these two together. And then I will also have to subtract 7y on both sides. So minus 7y. This is equal to, this negative 6 there should remain there as it is. So I have negative 6. And then I will have to subtract 2 on both sides. So minus 2. So 3y minus 7y. Okay, I am getting minus 4y. And then minus 8 minus 2. This is minus 8. And then I divide by negative 4 on both sides. Divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. I get y is equal to positive 2. If I'm dividing a negative with a negative, my answer should be positive. Then number 9, 4x minus 3 over 5 minus 5x minus 3 over 8.
Miss,
Yeah.
Miss, can you please repeat the number 8, especially after expanding the brackets?
What do you mean repeated? I didn't do number 8. Do you mean number 7?
Yeah, number 7. This
Okay.
is number 9.
Is there? Yeah, I'm doing only the odd numbered questions. So the even numbered ones are for you to do. Okay, is there something you don't understand? Because for repeating, you can just watch the video again.
Okay.
Yeah, so if there's something you don't understand, I can explain that, but repeating, no. Okay, so here what we do again is multiply the denominators out. We want to remove the denominators. So what I do here is I look for the lowest common multiple of 5 and 8. Okay, so I multiply by the lowest common multiple, which is 40. So I multiply by 40, multiply by 40, and then the 1 should also be multiplied by 40. Okay, then I see what I have left when I cancel. So 5 goes there once, it goes there 8 times, and the 8 will multiply like that. Then 8 goes there once, it goes there 5 times, and the 5 multiplies like that. This is a 5. Okay, and then the 1 will just multiply with the 40. Okay, then the 8 is left. The 8 will multiply the 4 and also the 3. So I have 32x minus 24. And then I have minus, I put it in brackets. This is 25x minus 15. And this is equal to 40. So just multiply your brackets out like that. Okay, that's better. Okay, and then again, this minus over there, it will multiply inside the brackets over there. So I will have this 32x minus 24 minus 25x and then plus 15. This is equal to 40. Excuse me. Okay, then everything with x on one side, everything else without x on the other side. So we can combine these two, say 32 minus 25. You combine those, you get 7. Let's say 7x. And then on the other side, you'll have 40 minus 15 plus 24. So this is 49. Okay, and then you divide by 7 on both sides. You get x is equal to 7. Okay. And then number 11, we have 3.2 k plus 0.99. This is equal to 3.13k plus 0.10 plus 0.05. Okay, so that's the question. Again, everything with k on one side, everything without k on the other side. So I will subtract 3.13k on both sides, and then I will have 0.07k. And then on the other side, first I will combine these two together to get 0.15, and then I will subtract 0.99 on both sides. So I've written this as a fraction. I get minus 21 over 25. That's what you get. And then what you do is you divide by 0.07 on both sides. So we divide by 0.07, then we divide by 0.07. Doesn't fit. 0.07. Now those two cancel. You have k. Then on the other side you get minus 12. Okay, so that's how to do it. And then the last one, number 13, we have y plus 1 over 2 minus y minus 7 over 5. This is equal to y plus 4 over 3. Okay, again, you multiply by the lowest common multiple of your denominator. So you look at what you have. You have 2, 5, and 3. The lowest common multiple of your denominators over here is 30. So I'll multiply everything by 30. So this is times 30. That is times 30. That is times 30. So this cancels. Over there you get 15. Then that cancels. Over here I have 6. And that cancels. And then over there I have 10. Then the number that is left should multiply every term in the numerator. So I will have 15y plus 15 minus 6y plus, somebody's joining the class. Okay, and then plus 42, and this is equal to 10y plus, this is 40. Okay, so I've multiplied my brackets out. Now I combine the terms with y on one side, everything without y on the other side. Before that, I see I have 15 and minus 6y. I can combine those two. So 15 minus 6y, that is 9y. And then 15 plus 42, this is 57.
Miss,
Yeah.
at y, is that not y minus 7? Then we multiply 6 by negative 7 to get negative 42.
No.
It's a positive 7.
Yes. How did I get negative 6y? Where did that come from? See over here, the 6 multiplied with the y, but I wrote negative 6y. Why did I do that? Okay, you think about it and then you can tell me. Because I've done questions like this where I had a negative and then I explained how I got a positive or something like that. The sign changed. So look at the other examples that I have done and then let me know. Okay, so I then combine everything or take everything with y on one side and then everything else on the other side. So I'll have 9 minus 9y minus 10y. I will get negative y. And then I have 40 minus, this is negative 17. Then I have y is equal to positive 17. And then that is my final answer. So for your homework, you can do the even numbered questions. Okay, so that was exercise 4.1.1. 0.1. Okay, then we move on to absolute values. Okay, so maybe you did this in high school. If not, it's not too difficult, it's not very complicated. We shouldn't have any problems with it. Now, absolute values, or the modulus of a real number, just measures the distance that that number is away from zero on the number line. Okay, so you have your number line. This is what it looks like. And 0 is right in the middle of your number line. Now, if I ask you what is the absolute value of 3, for example, so 3 is on the right-hand side of 0, so this is 3. So when I ask you what is the absolute value of 3 equal to, so that's how we write it. So those two lines and 3 in between, the absolute value of 3 just means when you measure the distance from 0 to 3, what do you get? And I'm sure you can tell me that absolute value of 3, this is equal to 3 because the distance from 0 to 3 is just 3 units. Okay, I could also ask you what is the absolute value of minus 2. So when I say absolute value of minus 2, I'm saying what is the distance from minus 2 to 0, so this distance here. What is it equal to? So again, it doesn't matter whether you're moving left or right, your distance is always positive. So the absolute value of negative 2 is also 2 because negative 2 is 2 units. Negative 2 is 2 units away from 0. So absolute value just measures the distance that a real number is away from 0. So some things about absolute value that we should know. These are properties. Number 1, if I take absolute value of anything, my answer is always greater than or equal to 0. So that means I can never take absolute value of anything and then get an answer which is negative. So the answer will either be 0 or it will be a positive number. Okay? The next thing is that absolute value of x is equal to absolute value of minus x. So if I have something like this, absolute value of 2, you will see that absolute value of 2 is the same as absolute value of minus 2. Both those numbers are the same distance away from 0. They're both 2 units away from 0, except one is on the right and then the other is on the left. And this is just equal to 2. Now the absolute value of a product, that means if you multiply two numbers, the absolute value, so this is property 1, this is property 2, and then number 3. If I take the absolute value of a product, this is just the same as the absolute value of the first one multiplied by the absolute value of the second one. So when you see two absolute value signs like that next to each other, it's the same as when you have brackets next to each other. If I write two brackets like this, 2x, and then I have 5 over here, you know that this means they're multiplying. So when absolute values are next to each other like that, it means that they're multiplying. So if I take absolute value of 2 times 5, okay, I can work it out in two ways. I can say this is the absolute value of 10, and then absolute value of 10 is just 10 because 10 is 10 units away from 0. And I could also have said absolute value. So here, that's one way to do it. I can go this route. So I multiply what's inside the brackets then work out its absolute value, or I could separate the absolute value. Say this is absolute value of 2 times the absolute value of 5. So absolute value of 2 is 2 because 2 is 2 units away from 0. And then 5, absolute value of 5, it says 5 because 5 is 5 units away from 0. And then this is equal to 10. So you can see in both cases my answers are the same. So this also applies for a quotient. So if I say absolute value of x over y, this is the same as absolute value of x over absolute value of y. So if I have, for example, negative 2 over 3, and I want its absolute value, this is just equal to absolute value of negative 2 over absolute value of 3, which is just 2 over 3. Or if I just look at it as a whole, it's negative 2 over 3. And then I say, what is the distance that negative 2 over 3 is from 0? The answer is just negative 2 over 3. Okay, and then the last property is what we call the triangle inequality, but I see you guys do not really need it, but it's always good to know. This is number 4. This is what we call the triangle inequality. Now the triangle inequality says if I have x plus y, this is not equal to just absolute value of the first one plus absolute value of the second one. This is actually less than or equal to absolute value of the first one plus absolute value of the second one. Okay, so that means that if I want the combined distance x plus y, that is less than the distance that x is from 0 combined with the distance that y is from 0. Okay, so we will continue tomorrow with questions on solving equations with absolute values. So again, the homework is the even numbered questions. I'll see if it's on e-learning. If the notes are not on e-learning, then I will send you the questions and then you can just go over them. Okay, do we have any questions before we go? Okay, if not, then tomorrow we meet at 1:30. I will see you guys then.